The Journal of Victor Frankenstein, Part 2. He leaned close enough for the cold of him to count as touch. I shall be with you and your lovely wife on your wedding night, he said pleasantly, like a host naming the hour for dinner. The wind carried nothing else away from that mountain. Only that sentence descended with me. Freeze it there. Hear it how a bell is heard after it stops. We will return to it. We always do. Geneva. The court I did not enter. Home is haunted, and the ghost is me. My father's hair has faded in a month. Elizabeth's eyes hold water that does not fall. They look at my ruin and call it a brother's grief. They have not met the thing that shares our blood. Justine Moritz, gentle, grateful, nearly a sister, stood accused by an elegance of coincidences. The locket found, the hour wrong, the story thin. I stood in the court and swallowed words that would have saved her life and cost me my name, my freedom, my family's last peace. Silence is easy to justify and impossible to forgive. They called it confession. I call it despair. The sentence fell. The world obeyed. Another light put out by my ambition. The third rule, if a truth would damn you but save another, speak it. A life is worth more than a reputation you cannot keep. The mountains, where the air remembers God. I fled into the high valleys where the earth lifts its bones to the sky. Glaciers speak the slow language of grief. I thought to learn it. I climbed until the world was rock and thin air, and the only sound was my breath arguing with my body. And he found me. He stepped from the glare, stitched silhouette against the sun, larger than my memory allowed, moving with a grace that did not ask my permission. The confusion I had seen in his eyes on that first night was gone. Intelligence stood there now, and hatred had given it posture. My creator, he said, and the grave learned articulate speech. I raised a pistol. My hand did the opposite of what courage requires. Devil, be gone! He did not flinch. His lips learned a smile from watching men and made of it a weapon. You would kill your own son, he murmured, having first delivered him to a world that howls at the sight of him. He came nearer, not a threat, a claim. I am thy creature, he said, each word placed carefully in the cold air, and I am here to claim my rights. The fourth rule, if what you made asks you what you owe, answer before he teaches you the math. His history, a lesson in loneliness. He spoke, and the tale he told moved like ice over rock, slow, grinding, impossible to stop. He hid in woods first, learning how silence keeps you. He fed from what would not be missed and found warmth where fire forgot it. Then he found a cottage and a crack in its wall, the de Lacys, a blind old man, a son, a daughter, a poverty that made them kind. Through that crack he learned language. He memorized shape sounds, then thoughts, then ideas, music, duty, love, companionship as a right, not a miracle. Watching them, he loved them. Loving them, he planned a way to deserve them. I went to the Father first, he said, and for a moment the voice was younger. He could not see me. He called me friend. The voice hardened. Then the others returned. She fainted. He struck. They left that night, everything abandoned, so that none of their goods would have to share a roof with me. Hope rotted into rage. In a pocket of the coat he had taken from my laboratory, he found my journal, my own words sewn against his heart by accident and contempt. He read my disgust. He learned my name. He learned I had others. I was alone, he said, absolutely alone. The yellow eyes found mine and did not blink. So I decided, if I could not inspire love, I would create companionship, and in despair, I would make you as lonely as I am. He told me what I already knew and had refused to write. William in the grove, a small boy whose fear became a tool. A too strong hand tightening while begging for a friend, the locket taken not as theft, but as token, a bright piece of a family he could not join. Justine chosen to wear the blame, because the world finds it easier when a familiar face is guilty. The fifth rule, a mind denied welcome will practice ethics on other people's lives. The demand, 2 doors to hell. And now, Victor Frankenstein, he said, voice lowering until the mountain leaned to hear it. We come to the debt. You made me, alone in a world that refuses my face. Make me a companion, a wife. My mouth learned silence again. If you refuse, he went on, almost conversational, the way men discuss weather, I will not kill you. Not yet. I shall be with you and your lovely wife on your wedding night. The sun was bright. The cold found my bones anyway. I understood the grammar. Not my life, hers. Elizabeth's throat under a hand that learned strength from lightning, joy rewritten as spectacle. He turned and moved away with a speed no mountain should allow. I stood with the echo. The sentence made a corridor of sky and set me in it. The sixth rule, a threat that spares you, is aimed at your heart. Return. A house dressed for joy. I am back in my room. The walls are rehearsing happiness. My father speaks of weddings, flowers, guests. A date before winter makes the roads impolite. Elizabeth smiles when I enter, and I see behind her smile the question she does not ask. What follows you into rooms? I cannot build another heretic of flesh and lightning. To loose a second would be to ask the world to forgive me twice. I cannot refuse him without writing Elizabeth's epitaph into our invitations. 2 doors, both opening on the same room. The seventh rule. Some choices are not forks, they are mirrors. Refusal and assent show you the same face. Field notes for the man I was yesterday. On cowardice, it disguises itself as prudence in courtrooms and as delicacy at home. Name it, it loses half its strength. On responsibility, a creator's silence is an instrument, it kills clean. On companionship, do not deny to your creature what you claim as a human right, unless you are prepared for him to study justice on your pulse. On threats, write them down as spoken. Treat words like appointments, they keep themselves. On love, tell Elizabeth the truth. Love is a threshold. Hiding infection at the door is murder. The vow again. I shall be with you on your wedding night. I hear it in the clink of my father's teaspoon, in the fold of the linen, in the way Elizabeth says my name like it is still mine. I have put a date on the calendar, and he has circled it in bloodless ink. If these pages outlive me, let them speak plainly. I authored the grief in this house. I taught a newborn to read the world by turning my back on him. Now he writes in my life with the hand I gave him. There is a way forward. It is the hardest one. It begins with a closed door, an open mouth, and Elizabeth's eyes not being asked to guess. If I fail, then remember the rule I learned last, the 8th rule. A wedding is a threshold. Guard it or do not cross it. Victor Frankenstein. Subscribe quickly before he joins you too on your wedding night.